I recently came out as non-binary, and the response was honestly overwhelming and way bigger than I could have expected. I did not know so many people were going to resonate with my experiences and the things I shared, but I'm incredibly grateful that they did and that so many people felt comfortable to be able to share their own stories. But I still got a lot to learn about my identity and how that relates to the person that I am and the way I go about my life. This is my new series called Finding Myself, and this is how I'm finding myself in my external presentation. Growing up, I always had an interest in clothes and dressing up. I loved going into the mall to JCPenney, Macy's, Old Navy with my mom at the beginning of the school year and picking out some new outfits to wear as soon as fall hit each year. As I got older, I started to explore trends, which meant that when I was in college in 2015, I was wearing the tightest possible jeans. Everything had holes in the knees. I had kind of an undercut. It was it was the whole thing. And then I started to explore vintage clothing, thrifting more, wearing things that were a little bit more unique. All of that kind of led me to where I am today, where my wardrobe is pretty simple, nothing that's too overstated, but has a lot of pieces that are a little bit unique, that are thrifted, that you might not see other places. And so back before I came out, I thought I was going to want a drastic transition to my wardrobe. I guess I felt like because people didn't see me for who I really am and my gender identity, I felt like I needed to make some big change to my appearance to make that more apparent. But now that I'm out, I don't really feel that same kind of pressure. So here's how I'm thinking about my appearance. The biggest change I'm making, which is something I was already learning but has just really become apparent since I have started to reconsider my gender identity, is to just listen to my intuition. Now, this might sound obvious, but I've realized that most of the time when I'm picking clothes or when I'm trying to figure out what to wear, I'm doing it because it's something I like for a specific reason, but not necessarily something I like on me or I like how it feels. Like when I was following trends and wearing skinny jeans, I liked the vibe of those things. I liked the idea of the trend, but looking back, I don't really like how those types of clothes fit me. Even when I was getting more into like vintage aesthetics, I would pick clothes based off of what I thought would look good or what I thought people in kind of that vintage aesthetic would pick, rather than things that I liked on myself. And there's a big difference between those two. But now since I've come out, I've realized much more about what I like on myself and why, and I'm able to pick clothes and accessories that accentuate that instead of making me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Especially once I start to explore gender but hadn't quite landed on an identity, a lot of the outfits I would put together made me a little bit uncomfortable, or I just didn't love them and I didn't really know why. And after paying attention and listening to myself, I have a much better idea of why. Things like button-down shirts that are slim fit or slim fit pants or a traditional three-piece suit, all of those things never really made me feel great. And so over time, as I've paid attention to those feelings of what feels good, what doesn't feel good, I start to see these patterns of what I like, what I don't like, and I'm able to pick new clothes based off of those patterns. For example, I don't like slim fitting clothes. I don't like clothes that kind of accentuate masculine features, but I do like clothes that are more of a straight fit or a looser silhouette. So things like straight leg or more baggy pants, shirts that have kind of a looser, drapey, flowy fit. Those small changes make a big difference in how I see the outfit on myself and how I feel when I'm wearing it. And so because I see those patterns and now I can kind of recognize what fits and cuts and colors I like wearing, I'm able to better pick out clothes. Like if I go thrifting, I kind of know if it's something I like on the rack or if it's something I'll actually like wearing. And the next big change is to accessorize and really just use all of the secondary pieces of the outfit to give me more comfort in what I'm wearing. When I say secondary pieces, I mean not just accessories, but pretty much everything that's not just like the shirt and the pants, the top and the bottom that I'm wearing. So like, yeah, the fit of those is important. The color of those is important, but then also important are hairstyle and shoes and jewelry and all of those pieces that make the outfit unique. I used to really think having a sense of style, especially a unique sense of style, came from having unique pieces. So when I was at the thrift, I would sometimes buy novel items like a corduroy yellow blazer or this really flowy like blue scarf drape cape thingy that I had, and I never wore them. Because they're these one-off pieces that you can't wear every single day. And when you do wear them, it's a statement. But all of those little pieces can make your style your own, even if you only have very basic clothes. Like for me, I have a few pairs of jeans and pants that fit me really well that are gray or olive colors that I really like wearing. And then some basic tops, plain t-shirts, black hoodies, like nothing too crazy. But then once I accessorize it, it starts to feel much more comfortable to me and much more like my own personal style. So one of those changes I've made as I've started to think about my gender identity has been leaning more toward chunkier shoes. And this was something I was already leaning toward, but just making small decisions. Like my Vans are my go-to everyday shoe. When I'm walking our dog Cloud, every single time I slip on my Vans, so they get super beat up. I'm replacing my pairs of Vans like every year because I just wear them so much. But instead of buying the normal Vans that are slip-on, kind of low soles, low to the ground, I just substitute them for platform Vans. And that little bit of extra height, that little bit of extra chunkiness, it gives me that sense of euphoria. Or also just like wearing boots or chunky sneakers. All of that helps me to feel really good. And then accessories are the other big piece. You probably noticed I have a ton of bracelets on both wrists, some stainless steel, a lot of beads. A lot of these have personal meaning to me, but outside of that, just like wearing a lot of accessories also helps me feel more unique in my style and gives me that sense of gender euphoria. It's like kind of just having like these dangly bracelets here. I don't know. It just works for me. But you can take this in a million different ways, especially like if you're exploring your style from a perspective of feeling comfortable in your gender. Like what kind of belts are you wearing? Are you wearing traditionally masculine belts? Even like what kind of socks do you go for? Necklaces, earrings, all of that stuff can just help give you those little touches of comfort, of uniqueness. But ultimately, what I found is that it all comes back to your intuition. What feels right to you? What gives you the expression through your own lens of gender? Because that's not going to be exactly the same for anyone. So it is ultimately down to your own lens and what you feel good wearing. Hair, of course, is another big one. I've started to grow my hair out a little bit more. That typically makes me feel better, especially when it's kind of this medium length. I've grown it down to shoulder length, and I felt like that made me look really masculine and kind of framed my face. This is working for me right now. And when it comes to thinking about fashion and changes to my appearance, the biggest thing I'm learning is to be patient and just go slowly. Before I came out, I really wanted to show myself as non-binary and be perceived that way by other people. But since I've been open about my identity, I don't feel that much pressure to. And I think that's taken the pressure off of making a massive overhaul to my wardrobe. I haven't really made many changes since I started thinking about my gender identity, although I have been conscious of fitting into those patterns I like of looser, baggier silhouettes, things like that, as I've gotten new pieces over the past few months. But generally, most of my wardrobe has stayed the same, and that's because things like bracelets and my hairstyle and the shoes I wear all elevate that look. Even the way I just combine different pieces of clothing in my wardrobe help me feel more comfortable. So as long as I'm paying attention to those, I'm not tempted to make any really major changes to what I wear on a day-to-day basis. And I take comfort in the fact that my fashion sense has been evolving pretty much my whole life. Like from the time I was in high school was completely different to what I wore in college, was completely different to what I wore or 4 years ago compared to now. So I know that it's always going to evolve and be based on whatever my tastes and feelings are at the time. So I'm not putting too much pressure on myself to make massive changes and completely overhaul my appearance. But every time I figure something out that just makes me feel a little bit better, that I like to wear, that I accessorize with, I just kind of lean into that and keep wearing that and exploring that and figuring out why I like it. So for now, this is where I'm at. I wear baggy fits. I tend toward more darker or neutral colors like black and gray and olive. My hair is a little bit longer and messy. I wear a little bit of jewelry, and I'm sure all those things will change over time. But for now, I feel good about where my fashion sense is at, and more importantly, about my ability to listen to myself, listen to what my body is telling me that I like and don't like, so I can wear things that actually enhance my identity and enhance how I feel about my gender expression. And I don't know, for now, that's good enough. So this is very much in the middle of the journey of finding myself, but I am happy to be on that journey. Thanks for watching.